Hey guys, welcome back to another Dragonheir Silent Gods video. In today's video I'm going to be showing you the team I'm using for Vortex this week, which is a Necrosis team using the new Shadow legendaries. Well, two of them and one incredibly strong epic, which I'll talk about more in just a second. But the reason for this video is this week the buff for Vortex has changed. So last week we had an increased amount of crit damage on the fight, whereas this week we've got 30% more necrotic damage. So this urged me to try and play around with a different way of dealing with Vortex. Previously I was using an Aura team, however now I've swapped to this Necrosis team to try and get benefit of that boost. So I'm going to be running through the team I'm using and showing you how it works and the skill timings and gearing on everybody. But before I get into that, I do just want to say a huge thank you to Dragonheir Silent Gods for sponsoring this video. It is incredibly kind of them to help to support my channel as well as obviously promoting their game. So if you are interested in getting involved in Dragonheir, please do hit the link in the description or the pinned comment and get involved today. So as I said, obviously the boss is taking 30% more necrotic damage, and you can see here that today's damage I managed to get 50.6 million. This is only using the 3 elemental bonus. I have unlocked the 5 elemental bonus, however the support around Shadow and Lightning is quite weak. I had the option of using Fathom down as my tank and attack penalty, and Nathaniel as my support with his shields. However, I wasn't able to stay alive anywhere near as long as the team I'm using now. So first of all, I'm using my Garius. So Garius is built in a high defense build wearing the Gatekeeper's Staff artifact. He's also wearing the Ancestral Protection hood, Ancestral Protection set with as much defense as I can get to increase his healing. You'll notice here I've got an item with triple attack percent. It is purely just to complete the set to reduce the damage everyone else is taking as well as the damage he's taking. I've got some defense percent gloves. Chest I would love to have defense percent, however I do have a mythical HP percent which increases his healing by 50% if I'm, well, on a 50% chance, which also benefits his shields from his artifact as well. In terms of runes I have got defense and HP there. I probably have a defense one which I can change that to actually. I'll have a look at that another time. But this is obviously he's the main healer for my team. Next up I've got Ardreth. So Ardreth pairs very well with Garius in the fact that her ultimate skill boosts everyone's healing by 50%, which just means even bigger shields. However, her passive skill as well, every 10, well, once it reaches 10 stacks, grants everybody 10% of, well, 30% increased defense, sorry. So yeah, she's incredibly strong at helping your team to survive longer. She does also provide some healing on her battle skill, which scales with her defense, so you want to rack that up as much as you can. In terms of sets, I'm using the Tundra Guardian set on her, which reduces the damage she's taken by 25% when it's a non-critical hit. And as far as I'm aware, PvE content cannot crit you. I've not seen any yellow numbers pop up for damage taken. Please do let me know in the comments though if that is incorrect. I would love to know for sure. I've just not noticed any myself. She's just wearing defense percent and HP percent gloves purely just to complete the set. And she's got a defense rune and a defense negative rune as well. So next up I've got my main damage dealer. So that is Ozil, the exclusive legendary for Shadow. I do actually have some different gear to change him into here actually. Let me just find that. So we've got this item and this one here. So there we go. Right, so back to Ozil. So as you can see, he's built with just under 100% crit rate, a nice amount of crit damage, good amount of attack at just over 4.6 thousand. The artifact I'm wearing is the Shadow Spawn legendary artifact. This is the exclusive for Shadow heroes. I don't have his exclusive artifact, however I do think this is potentially stronger in a lot of content. It's granting a really nice boost to attack and crit rate, allowing his build to be significantly easier. And obviously I've got some attack speed from the set as well, which is really valuable for him, as when he's in the demon form, he does spam his basic attack a lot. So the more attack speed you can get, the more damage you're going to get out of him. And outside of that, just an attack positive rune and a attack negative rune, which is rolled really nicely for an epic. So yeah, that is his build. He is the primary damage dealer in this team. The other set I'm wearing is the Enlightenment set, which doesn't actually benefit him at all. I'd love to get a 3-piece of this to get 20% ignore defense on that basic skill as well. But that is just a matter of time. Obviously, farming gear is quite hard at the moment until double drops are activated. Next up, I've got my first enabler, so that's a Spouter. So I've got her built with 85% crit rate, some crit damage and some attack. She is here to fill the shadow energy of my Ozil and keep him into his demon form as long as possible. With the setup of this team, I am getting permanent uptime as well, so she is incredibly strong for that. And as well as that, I get a little bit more nuke at the start because she's giving a damage buff to everybody, well, all shadow allies at the start of the fight. So that is her build. And next up, I've got an insanely strong epic hero who is able to keep almost guaranteed 100% uptime on Witch's Remains. So because of the way Shadow works, they are constantly filling their shadow energy, especially if you've got 2 enablers, which I do in this team. I'm able to recycle this ultimate skill so frequently that defense penalty very rarely drops off. And if it does, it's just for a second while I get the cast off. So Taudi is built with some damage. She doesn't actually deal much damage at all. So she's just built with a decent amount of crit rate, some crit damage, and some attack, and obviously enough stats to survive. In terms of skill haste, you'll see I've got 48 here, and that is just because as much as it doesn't benefit their recharging speed on their ultimate and their shadow energy, it does benefit their battle skills. So if you can drag their battle skill cooldowns down, you're going to be able to get more uptime from the shadow energy. So as you can see here, her battle skill is down to 9.2 seconds, which boosts her shadow energy and the others through her passive skill. So everybody gains 30% of the shadow energy she gains. So it's just allowing me to pump more shadow energy into the rest of my team to get my ultimate skills off more frequently and obviously do more damage. So in terms of skill timings, I've only got skill timings set on the Garius and Ardreth here, and that is every 20 seconds as per the boss's rotation. Boss is on 20-second rotation, and I've got it going, so Garius is going at 25.5, which is just before this skill hits, so I get a nice big shield before the double hit, and as well as that I've got Ardreth going at 16.6, so less than 10 seconds between the two, so that Garius's heal is affected by Ardreth's boost, which lasts for 10 seconds. And the reason for that is it just means I can get bigger shields to cover me for the rest of the fight, and my Ardreth is going between this skill and this skill here. The reason for that is on stage 4 I'll be using that to get some cleansing out of the defense penalty. As much as it's not very reliable, it will help me to get rid of a couple of those debuffs, and yeah, so it will help my team more for stage 4 than it does currently. So let's get into the run and we'll talk about how it goes. Obviously the big thing is you're going to want to watch the fact that Ozil is permanently in his demon form as soon as he enters it the first time. And yeah, right, so I'm just going to save those gear upgrades as well. In terms of aura, I am using the defense aura from Ardreth. I did play around with the Espalta 30% attack aura. However, it didn't provide me enough damage bonus to be worth it. I do survive longer and do more damage with this 30% defense bonus, due to the fact that my defense numbers on my damage dealers are relatively low. However, Taudi's is pretty decent actually. Right, so let's start the run. We'll have a look at the damage meter as well throughout it. You'll notice that it is all about Ozil. So there's Espalta with her ultimate skill already. Taudi uses hers, defense penalty goes out, and there we go, we've got Ozil in his shadow form as well. Just look at how fast they're recharging though. Espalta is nearly ready to use her ultimate skill again. And once she does, she'll boost the shadow energy of everybody else, allowing Taudi to take her turn, reapply defense penalty, and that is going to keep going throughout the entire fight. So as you can see, Espalta's nearly ready again. She uses her ultimate skill, defense penalty gets reapplied, and they will keep doing this for the entire fight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump out, I'll let this run play out, and we'll talk about the results at the end of the fight. And there we go, so I've lost my first damage dealer, well, my first person in my team now, and it is getting a little bit close, so I'm probably going to lose the rest of them in a minute. But as you can see, they're 55.6, well, 55.7 and climbing million damage. So this is a new personal record for my team. It did only do 50 million pre-recording. So either those changes I made to Ozil's gear at the start of the video were significant upgrades, or it's just I had a little bit of an unlucky run earlier. But either way, the team does so much damage, and it's insane because it's not something I actually tried using before, and it's not even using the 5x elemental bonus. Obviously, I would be gaining 15% damage there if I could survive long enough, but it just doesn't at the moment. So as you can see there, Ozil doing 75% of the total damage himself at 42.7 million, whereas Espalter's doing 7.8 million and Taudi's only doing 2.7 million. They are there purely to support Ozil. We had defense penalty up nearly all of the time. There was a few kind of delays and a few times where it was actually resisted, where you'd be able to get even more damage out. But this team has seriously good potential, at least for these weeks where you've got necrotic damage bonuses. But in general, I think it could be a team that would be worth using throughout the rest of the season as well. I'd love to be able to try and get it to survive a bit longer with a lightning and necrosis based support. But unless I can do that, it's going to be a case of using Ardrith and Garius together to keep the team alive, which I don't mind doing. But on stage 4, when I'm going to take a lot more damage, it's likely that I will need the attack penalty. So bringing in somebody like Fathom Down could really boost this team further as well. However, the likelihood is that I will be rotating between this and an aura-based team, maybe even Ice Blast. Honestly, it depends. There's so many different variations that you could use for Season 3 that you'll kind of be able to cater to the bonuses each week and see how you best perform. But for those of you trying to build a necrotic team for this week, if you are lucky enough to have Ozil, and even just Ozil and Taudi, the Epic, together, they will deal some serious damage, regardless of whether you've got them in the 5x elemental bonus or not. Look at the other supports you could be bringing in from other elements to help keep them alive. But that is all for this video, really. I just wanted to kind of showcase this and show that it is capable of doing really good damage. So 56 million, where would that put me on the leaderboard on my server, which is incredibly disgusting to compete on. So if you look there, Arslan there at 250 million damage. 56 million would put me around the kind of top 40, so I would have gained 15 or so more places had I not saved my key earlier. And as yesterday it would have done, so nearly top 30 yesterday if I'd used that team. So that is all for this video, guys. If you are enjoying the content I'm putting out, please do remember to like and subscribe. And once again, just a huge thank you to Dragonheir for sponsoring this video. Please do remember to click the link in the description or the pinned comment if you'd like to get involved too. See you in the next video.